Hello and welcome to Monday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. The Kent teenager bullied at school and then left paralysed after a rare neurological reaction to surgery. She's using her story to help others.
The new Prime Minister's announced. Liz Truss says she has a bold plan. People here tell her they need help now.
Your normal weekly shop is just so much more expensive. Everything keeps going up. So you see that go up, you see your energy bills go up, and suddenly you're thinking, well, I need about double the money that I'd normally need this month.
Well, with the cost of living on the up, strikes for double-digit pay rises grow. Bus workers across Medway bring services to a standstill as industrial action spreads.
And it's one of the earliest autumns we've ever known. So what's wrong with all the berries on the bushes in the first days of September? Good evening. From the victim of bullying to social media star, Chelsea Flynn's journey has been eventful, and she's just 19. She woke in hospital after a series of surgeries, paralysed from the waist down.
Well, since being diagnosed with a condition called functional neurological disorder, she's created TikTok videos to chart her recovery and speak out against bullies. Tony Green went to meet her at her home in Thanet.
This is one of the TikTok videos that has made Ramsgate teenager Chelsea Flynn known around the world. They're her platform to campaign against bullying and share her experience of a little-known condition called FND. Punched in the face by bullies, she had surgery on her jaw 7 times. Then she woke up in hospital, unable to feel her legs. Then came the diagnosis.
I had no idea what it was. And the way they described it to me, when they said that there was not really any cure for it, I was devastated because I'd gone from being completely fine and it seemed like my life just flashed before my eyes.
How do you describe FND to people?
I just say to them that it stands for functional neurological disorder, where there's a problem with the functioning of the brain to send messages to different parts of the body, and it kind of gets a little bit glitchy.
Chelsea's life has completely changed. Paralysed from the waist down, she also has functional dystonia, which leads to spasms that have pulled down her left wrist. Sharing her story touched millions.
It was crazy because I had only ever really posted TikToks for a little bit of fun, even before I got sick. And now I was getting millions of views with so many different people sharing their experiences and sending me love. It was absolutely incredible.
Well done, amazing.
I'm very proud of her. I think FND needs to be brought to the forefront. I had never heard of it before, and there's still not a lot about it, in the media or anywhere.
Aged 19, this star of social media has already been through a lot, but sharing her story has allowed her to speak up against bullies and increase understanding of a rare condition. Tony Green, ITV News, Ramsgate.
Now, Liz Truss will be the next Prime Minister. She'll take over tomorrow after winning the Tory leadership contest, getting nearly 60% of the vote.
The cost of living crisis will be top of her agenda, of course, but she also has the job of sorting out NHS waiting lists and the migrants crossing the Channel in small boats.
Well, let's cross over to our political correspondent, Phil Hornby, for more on this. I mean, Phil, seemingly so many impossible problems for her to deal with.
Yeah, one senior Conservative tonight says it's the in-tray from hell. But that is what faces Liz Truss. It's worth remembering she only just got through the early stages of this leadership contest, but once it came to the Tory membership, Liz Truss versus Rishi Sunak, she won quite easily. And this is what she told the Tory faithful today.
I will deliver a bold plan to cut taxes and grow our economy. I will deliver on the energy crisis, dealing with people's energy bills, but also dealing with the long-term issues we have on energy supply.
There wasn't much suspense, but Tory members across the South East were in front of their television sets this morning watching proceedings, among them the chair of the Folkestone Hythe Conservative Association, watching Liz Truss announced as the winner, and he gave us his reaction.
Hugely happy that Liz has become the leader and our next Prime Minister. I think she set out a really positive agenda: small government, low taxes, with a real focus on the things that are important to people, which is the cost of living, controlling inflation, and also supporting small businesses.
Well, many MPs from the South East were in the hall to hear the announcement in person today, and they were pretty clear about the mountain of problems the new Prime Minister faces.
We've got to solve an energy crisis, we've got to solve a problem of the migrant crisis, we've got to solve a problem with the NHS, and we've got to solve some problem in policing and law and order as well, not least looking at what's happening here today.
They're massive problems though, aren't they? It's a lot
agendas.
easier said than done.
It is. Any one of those on its own would be a tough ask. We've got 4.
Well, Ramsgate is in Craig McKinlay's constituency, and our reporter Kit Bradshaw has been there today to ask people in Ramsgate what they think should be on the new Prime Minister's to-do list.
After months of Tory infighting, the stage is now set for a new Prime Minister. And at this children's play centre, the grown-ups agree that tackling the rising cost of living should be Liz Truss's top priority.
A lot of people are going to struggle in winter, and I think that's something she really needs to address, and I think that's something that she is looking to address pretty much straight away. I mean, you go in the supermarket and your normal weekly shop is just so much more expensive. Everything keeps going up. So you see that go up, you see your energy bills go up, and suddenly you're thinking, well, I need about double the money that I'd normally need this month, and the next month, and the next month.
Energy prices are crazy. With another little one on the way, I do worry. I do think, when it comes to school, as a teacher, I know budgets are very hard for schools at the moment as well, and trying to keep education exciting.
I'm not happy with Boris Johnson. I don't know how it's about the new Prime Minister, but everything is expensive. The gas is electric, the petrol, now is so expensive for me.
With a recession looming, there'll be some difficult public spending decisions for the incoming PM.
I'm a student nurse, and seeing it in the hospital is going to be quite scary, because you're going to get older people that are going to be worrying about affording to put their heating on, and then there's going to be consequences to that.
Rising costs mean a worrying winter ahead for the real-world owner of this business.
So when we started about 2.5 years ago, it was around about £600 a month for the electricity. And I think we're looking at probably about triple that now.
And I'm guessing it gets to a point where it wouldn't be sustainable for you as a business.
Yeah, I think now the kids are back to school, we might see a bit of a pinch with energy prices, bills, everything like that up, and fewer customers. I think it's going to be quite a hard time, but hopefully we'll be able to get through that.
Trying to maintain the country's economic foundations while keeping household bills manageable will be no easy task for the new woman in the government driving seat. Kit Bradshaw, ITV News, Ramsgate.
So, Phil, the cost of living crisis obviously huge, but in Kent and Sussex, as we heard Craig McKinlay say a few minutes ago, the migrant crisis has got to be pretty high up the new Prime Minister's agenda as well.
Yeah, it hasn't gone away. In fact, at the weekend, official figures show that 2,000 people crossed the Channel, just under 1,000 on Saturday, just over 1,000 on Sunday. We have pictures from Folkestone where you can see the latest people arriving. Now, politically, this has become a huge problem for the Conservatives, simply because for all their tough talk on immigration and cracking down on this sort of behaviour, nothing they seem to have done has worked. Now, we know about Rwanda and their plans to send some of the asylum seekers to Rwanda. Liz Truss says she supports that policy. The problem for the Conservatives is that nothing has worked so far, and she will be judged not just on how she handles cost of living and how she handles everything else, but very much on whether she can get results with these people in small boats across the Channel.
OK, we'll have to leave it there, but Phil, for the time being, thank you.
Rochester Prison is a safe and decent environment for inmates, an inspection has found. Inspectors say officers deal sympathetically and effectively with prisoners, but they raised a number of concerns, including the availability of drugs and mobile phones, which can be thrown over the walls.
It's the first weekday of a new train timetable for passengers travelling on Southern and Thameslink. Additional hourly services will run between Brighton and Hove and Brighton and Lewes. The number of off-peak trains on a number of routes will be reduced. Southern Railway says there are lower passenger numbers since the pandemic and it has to adapt.
Plans to develop Brighton's largest greenfield site could see hundreds more homes built instead of a new school. The Toads Hole Valley development in Hove was approved in June. Now developers are looking to build more homes, bringing the total to around 1,000.
A sculpture made of 100,000 blades seized by police is on display in the Lighthouse Church in Maidstone. The Knife Angel, as it's called, is touring the country to highlight the issue of knife crime and commemorate the lives that have been lost.
A terrier who is lucky to survive after being thrown from a vehicle travelling at 50 miles per hour in Kent has found her forever home. Freya, now renamed Bella, was abandoned in Yalding in January. Witnesses rushed her to a vet where she was found to be underweight. She's now got a new home with a family from Maidstone.
Hundreds of bus workers took strike action across Kent today in a dispute over pay. The Arriva staff, members of the Unite union, have rejected a 10% pay offer.
Well, John Ryle is outside Arriva's Gillingham depot. John, what impact is this strike having?
Well, Sangeeta, this has been pretty much the story of the day. Not a single bus has left this depot. A similar story at Maidstone, Tunbridge Wells, Gravesend and elsewhere. Now, there were some 600 plus bus workers supporting this, the first of these one-day strikes. This has been one of the biggest and one of the liveliest picket lines today. Many Arriva staff are paid around £12 to £13 an hour. Arriva has offered them, has made them a 10% offer, a 10% increase, but the Unite union says that amounts to a real terms cut because of the rate of inflation, a real terms cut at a time when many of their members are having to use food banks.
Everyone's concerned how they're going to pay their bills by the end of this year. We are fighting here and hopefully to prevent our members from being in that position. We're asking for RPI plus 1%. The members are looking for £14 an hour, which will give them a pay rise. Anything short of RPI plus 1% is a pay cut.
Well, this first of these strikes coincides with the start of the autumn term for thousands of pupils across Kent, so getting to school today has been difficult for many, impossible for some, but we're hearing a lot of support being beeped by motorists here today, and generally we've picked up a lot of support for this action from local people.
Everything is going up, so you know they have to do what they have to do. That's all I can say.
I had an interview in Maidstone and I wasn't able to get there because there's no buses. Strike's obviously quite inconvenient for everyone. I think I teach at a school, so the school hasn't been affected luckily because the kids aren't back. But I do agree with striking because if they need more money and the price of living and everything going up, I think if they want to strike, then strike.
So what are the chances of settlement? Well, this 10% offer was a second improved offer from Arriva, and it wasn't put to Unite members because Arriva refused to backdate it. Had they done, it would have been voted on, and who knows, it might have gone through. Arriva are not giving interviews today. In a statement, they say they are extremely disappointed for their customers. They remain committed to resolving the dispute, and they're calling on Unite to put that 10% offer to their members, to ballot on that offer. Meantime, further strikes are planned for September 16, September 20 and September 30.
John and Gillingham, thank you. You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you for watching us. Coming up, tough times for teachers as classrooms return. We find out why some school staff want to quit.
Also, there's no stopping the Seagulls as they return to winning ways with a big win at the weekend.
And more news from right across the southeast on our website. Just head to itv.com/Meridian. Call us on 0808 1010 095 and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Now, the ITV Evening News, of course, continues after us. With the details of what's coming up on their programme tonight is Mary Nightingale.
Coming up, all the reaction as Liz Truss is confirmed as the new Conservative leader.
We will deliver, we will deliver, we will deliver. And
the hard work starts now for our next Prime Minister. We'll be taking a look at the major challenges facing Liz Truss when she arrives at Downing Street. The economy is heading towards its worst crisis in over a decade. Does she have a plan to help keep prices under control? The many energy bills are the major concern. We'll be taking a look at the options she could take to protect families from meteoric price hikes. So do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, the start of the school year may come as a relief for parents, but for some teachers it can spell the return of a huge amount of stress.
4 in 10 teachers in the South East want to leave the education sector within the next 5 years. With more, here's Amrit Birdie.
Parita Patel was a teacher for 15 years before leaving to set up her own tutoring business.
Hi, how are you?
She says her teaching job became unmanageable, and although it broke her heart to leave, staying would have been far worse.
The work-life balance and managing the job, being a mum and doing 60-hour weeks just wasn't sustainable or feasible at the time. So something had to give. The demands are such that it's just becoming so much more of a squeeze to think about well-being and teachers' well-being, which means they're often left with very little choice but to either reduce their hours or days or eventually leave the profession.
Parita is part of a growing trend of teachers leaving their jobs due to unmanageable workloads and stress. A survey by the National Education Union found that in the South East, 43% of teachers want to leave within the next 5 years. Across the country, over half say their workload is unmanageable, and 2/3 say they feel stressed at least 60% of the time. In total, 1.5 million days have been taken off work by teachers due to stress and mental health issues. The union says these figures will not come as a surprise to those currently working in schools.
Teachers, they come into the profession wanting to make a difference, to support children and young people, be excited about learning and to achieve the state that, things in the next stages of their career. But teachers are telling us that they are, for the majority of time, feeling exhausted, that workload is unmanageable, and that they are increasingly working 50 hours a week plus. And that just isn't sustainable.
Many schools are hoping that tackling this teacher crisis will be a priority for the incoming Prime Minister.
There's a huge amount of pressure in the system. That starts at the top with Ofsted, with league tables, and that gets passed down, and that ends up, if you talk about well-being and mental health for teachers, a lot of it comes from that pressure that's from above. The good teacher in every classroom is the key to a successful school, but that's becoming increasingly difficult to recruit the quality of teachers that we need and also to retain them once they're in the system.
The Department for Education told ITV News that they have proposed the highest pay awards in a generation for new teachers, alongside further pay awards for more experienced teachers and leaders. They say development opportunities are also the best they've ever been. The number of teachers in the system remains high, and there are now more than 465,000 teachers working in state-funded schools across the country, which is 24,000 more than in 2010. In the next 2 years, the government says they'll deliver 500,000 teacher training and development opportunities, in the hope that it will encourage teachers to stay in school. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Crawley Town are still without a league win this season, but they frustrated their high-flying opponents Salford City, holding them to a draw. Tom Nichols and substitute Ludwig Franchillet claiming a morale-boosting point. Nothing could separate Gillingham and Swindon at Priestfield, not even the sending off of Haji Minoga, taking the Gills down to 10 men for 80 minutes. Scott Cashkett struck the bar for the hosts, and the Robins couldn't make the most of their numerical advantage. Now, 2 gymnasts from Kent have returned to their club in Maidstone to celebrate their wins at the European Championships. James Hall and Gianni Regini Moran won gold at the team event in Germany, and as Abigail Bracken reports, their medals have been much admired back home.
Back at the club where he's been training for 20 years, and the parallel bars that helped James Hall, who's from Maidstone, win the team events in both the European Championship and the Commonwealth Games. alongside fellow gold medalist Gianni Regini Moran from Dartford. They're the most successful Great Britain's men's team in 10 years.
It's just a dream come true. I mean, European champion and Commonwealth champions all in the space of about, 3 weeks. And it's been manic, it's been crazy, and the training's been difficult, but it's been incredible, and it's been absolutely amazing to share it with everyone.
It's quite crazy. I don't think we've actually, took it all in yet. It's been so busy that, by the time Commonwealths were finished, we were already thinking about Euros, so we couldn't even reflect on the Commonwealth Games because we was already thinking ahead to Euros. But now looking back, I've got 6 medals, and I won them kind of within the space of a month. So, that's just incredible.
And training alongside them at the Pegasus Club in Maidstone is Oakley Banks from Rainham, who's just won medals in 2 European youth competitions.
It was a really big achievement for me knowing that as a junior trying to step up into the senior game, we needed to kind of prove ourselves. So coming away with 2 medals in 2 major games, it was really good, exciting.
Their coach says that despite COVID, it's been a fantastic few years.
What is happening today and this summer is 10 years hard work, and I'm really proud to be part of the journey.
And this weekend, the club's aspiring gymnasts, and there's plenty of them, had a chance to meet the champions and their medals.
It was so cool because they're one of my idols.
It's very cool to see their medals because maybe we can get them in the future as well.
I think it inspires us to actually train more.
The medals were heavy. They were really heavy. It is quite amazing because they're in big competitions. So, and it's amazing to watch them on TV.
And there'll be more chances to watch them soon as they're competing in the World Gymnastics Championships in Liverpool next month. Abigail Bracken, ITV News, Maidstone.
Oh, fantastic. So inspiring for those little ones as well.
Yeah, good way to get back to school. Sarah, thank you. Now, the autumn equinox happens on the 23rd of this month, but you may have already noticed a lot of autumnal signs around, from leaves changing colour early to blackberries ripening before they normally should do.
Well, it's because a lot of us have been experiencing what's known as a false autumn, which is the result of plants reacting to the very dry summer we've had. Kevin Ashford explains.
This old hornbeam tree here should not be showing these yellow leaves at this time of the year.
The signs are everywhere. Leaves on the ground instead of on the trees, and fruit ready for eating when it shouldn't be. It's what's known as a false autumn, and this shake-up of the seasons has consequences.
The effect of the false autumn, where we're seeing what looks like autumn come so much earlier than normal, is that berries have started to ripen early, which means they will go off early, meaning that species such as blackbird and song thrush won't be able to eat them later in the autumn when they would ordinarily be searching for them.
The main cause of the false autumn is the lack of rain that we've seen this year, which has led to plants like trees reacting as they effectively suffer stress. The head gardener at this arboretum in southern England believes alterations to normal seasonal patterns are set to become more common.
These changes will most definitely be repeated. We can see that from year to year we seem to get stuck into one type of weather pattern, so it'll either rain every day for 3 months or the sun will be out every day for 3 months. And that seems to be happening more and more frequently as the years progress. So without a doubt these weather patterns are having some great effects on the trees and the plants.
The Royal Horticultural Society says those of us who like to grow things are already making new choices.
It's really interesting for gardeners. We're learning how to adapt, so we have no choice but to grow with our gardens, with their local conditions. So that's often about plant choice, and we're now moving from not just drought-tolerant species, but things that are definitely resilient. So they cope with wet, they cope with dry, they cope with long periods where it might be cold.
The Woodland Trust is urging more people to join in their monitoring of signs in nature to help assess whether this year's false autumn is part of a long-term trend and a permanent change to our seasons. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Well, let's continue the weather theme now, because it is time for the weather. Did you hear the thunder last night?
Got to be honest, I didn't. I slept like a log.
No, I heard it and then just went back to bed. Anyway, here's your forecast now. Here's Helen Flint.
feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. Well, very much dodging the downpours over the next day or so. Yes, we get away with some sunshine, but the thunderstorms will be back in a real mixed bag, although at least staying pretty warm out there. A fair bit of humidity as well, but it's the position of this low pressure which keeps everything moving. This Catherine wheel of front circling around that, of course, bringing a fair bit of wet weather at times, but also allowing that warmer air to push up from the south. So in the short term then, actually a lot of dry weather, but in the next couple of hours, we're likely to see those thunderstorms really pep up. So where we get them, tricky driving conditions, you'll certainly know about it if you hit one, but equally a lot of us actually staying dry. They will be well scattered and quickly drying out, clearing up and calming down through the second half of the night. So chances are we'll see a little bit of mist and fog developing. Breezy still in coastal spots, but notice here the temperatures, minimums of just 18, 19 degrees. That is really pretty remarkable for this point in September. Out there first thing tomorrow morning then, murkiness quickly fizzling away, lots of sunshine coming through. It's a promising start out there all in all, but notice those showers this time will start to head in from the west, and a brighter echoes at times, of course, indicating more widespread, heavier outbreaks of rain through the day tomorrow. Chances are we'll see some flash flooding, and with a little less sunshine later, maybe temperatures down just a notch, but still on the warm, muggy, humid feeling side. Quick look then at the times of high water. In Dover, for example, it's going to be high tide at around 7:45 tomorrow morning and past tomorrow night. Now, from here on in, that theme of sunshine and showers really continues for the rest of the week, drying out through the weekend though. Bye-bye.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And that is it from us for the time being. I've got your late update just after 10:30. Mary Nightingale has the national news coming up very shortly.
For now, though, from all of us here, thank you so much for watching. Do join Matt if you can later on, and we'll both be back here tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.